like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Visit StogieGeeks.com/Debonaire for a list of retailers who carry Debonaire cigars. Buy some today and get a little more Debonaire. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geeks Show. This is our Debonaire Ideal segment. We're going to talk about smoking cigars on the road, some general advice to smoke cigars while you are traveling, based on Will's recent experience in hotel rooms, which is one place to smoke a cigar. Sometimes I get a smoking room, sometimes I don't. I'm kind of split on it. Oftentimes in places that are smoker-friendly like Vegas, I won't get a cigar smoking room just because I can smoke cigars other places. But Florida is good for smoking rooms. Some other states, it might be tricky. I don't know that you can get a smoking room in Rhode Island, Will.
You can. The night I had to get a hotel room, when I kind of lost contact with Stogie Santa, I did get one.
Oh, good.
Now, what you're going to discover is it's going to be, obviously you want to check the state first on that, right? That it's going to be. But at least in most of the states I've seen, especially North Carolina, the ones that have smoking rooms are few and far between, okay? I'm talking less than 10%, maybe 5%. I mean, the hotel I'm in right now, there's very few of them. The advice is if you're going to get a hotel room, book it early and call the hotel. Do not go through Expedia or something. You can book it through Expedia, but you want to make sure you call the hotel because a lot of times they'll say smoking rooms and you go there and it turn out they don't have them.
Really?
Yes, and I've had that happen to me. And other times you won't see them on some of these travel services. So I find the best thing to do is to try to call the hotels and confirm it directly with the hotel.
Have you had that happen more than once where you tried to book a smoking room and it turns out they're a non-smoking hotel?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
I thought it was just a one-off thing, but...
It happened in Vegas there was a unique circumstance in that the hotel changed the policy. But in general, I know with some of the travel systems I use, the smoking rooms, they'll say smoking rooms and it's antiquated information. And other times they just won't even list the information. And like I said, there's few and far these rooms in between. The other thing I advise is get a 2-room suite if you can, because you can have one room more smoke-free than the other, and it works out better that way.
Now, what about in the rental car? Because when you're traveling, you might get a rental car. There's no rental cars that you can't. There's no option to say I want a smoking rental car. Is there?
Well, no, but you can pay. I mean, I heard the story that basically Steve Saka brought a rental car back in Miami, and I guess they asked him if he was smoking in the car. And before he had a chance to answer that, I guess they recognized it was Steve Saka, and they said, "Of course he did." Yeah. And then he said, "Yeah, I did," and he paid the fine. So,
and how much is the fine? Do you know offhand?
I think it could go anywhere from $150 to $250.
Okay.
I mean, if you're renting, here's the thing: if you're renting a car for 10 days, right? I think it's per rental. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know what? It depends how, everyone's budget's different. I mean, if you're renting it one day, I don't think you want to get hit with that. But if you have a longer term rental,
right? Like if you and I did a road trip to go to Florida and do a cigar trip, and we had a car for 10 days,
we write it. But in fairness, we could write that off as a business expense.
We would just expense it.
It's a legitimate. I mean, it is a legitimate business expense for what we do.
But for one night, we wouldn't do that.
No,
it's not worth it. Yeah.
No, I mean, but you can get ionizers. I mean, usually there's, and we talked about it when Jared was on the show. There's ways around that, but I don't want to go. That's not kind of debonair.
No, it's not. Yeah, I would definitely say that and if that's good advice though. If you're gonna have a rental car and you're in the business, I don't know recreationally if it's worth it, but certainly if you're in the business and you're doing a cigar trip, you're going to be smoking a lot of cigars. So best just to pay the fine.
Now, private rentals are a different story. You know, I've heard of things where you rent the vans, and some of those are done on a case-by-case basis. So I'm not talking about the big rental car chains, but some of the private rentals you can do that on. Again, I would advise having a direct conversation with someone.
Yeah.
And get it noted on there.
Well, it's interesting. You could call up a private rental place and say, "Hey, I want to. Do you have a smoking car?" I mean, if you're a private rental place and all the big rental companies forbid smoking, maybe they have a couple of cars that are just designated for smoking. They got leather seats and they know they're going to smell like smoke, and they just cater to the smokers.
Yeah, exactly. And I know there's a couple of the events around the country. The DC Tweet Up uses a bus. I know the one in Pennsylvania that Blowing Smoke does uses a bus. And they have smoking on it, so I'm sure there's arrangements that are made with that.
Right. Probably not going to find a taxi cab service or any kind of private car service or Uber that's going to let you smoke.
No, and I actually think there's a rule about the Uber, too. I think actually the Uber drivers cannot smoke.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I believe
you can't find an Uber driver that smokes. Well, because inevitably most of the population for cigars, right, doesn't smoke cigars, so most of the people getting in their car aren't cigar smokers, so they don't want to smell cigars.
Exactly. You know, and again, I think we do try, most cigar people, we do try to respect that, you know, to some degree on that as well. I mean, obviously, if we're in a smoke-filled bar and you get into a cab, I remember the story you were telling me.
Oh, yeah, the taxi driver was freaking out, thought we were smoking. I'm like, no, dude, we just came from a cigar bar. Come on, we're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. I mean, there might be I could see in, like, Miami or Tampa there being services that cater to cigar smokers. We got to ask around about that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to start asking some of the folks we know based in Miami what they do on that. That's a very good question.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people travel. I mean, Tampa, for example, right? They call it Little Havana. There's lots of Padron is there, lots of cigar factories. I gotta imagine there should be a market or a service for people who want to smoke cigars in the car.
I mean, you could rent a convertible, and I had a convertible.
Yeah,
my
that's a good point, Will. In warmer climates, rent a convertible. I like that. I haven't heard that yet as advice.
And actually with the convertible, if a cigar is smokable in a convertible, particularly if you do a lot of rotating. I mean, that's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
I had a convertible. My son's got my convertible now, and but yeah, it's so I have done it, and I have never rented a convertible, but you won't get residual smell from a convertible.
Right. Yeah, because the smoke doesn't stick in the car because it's in the open air. That's good, especially if you get a convertible with leather seats. There's no way that's smelling.
If you're gonna if you're gonna buy a car and be a cigar enthusiast in your vehicle, you gotta have leather seats.
Yeah,
you gotta spend the money on it. Otherwise,
I broke that rule in my truck,
but you're still smoking it.
I'm still smoking it. It just smells. What are you gonna do? And you can't with cloth seats, dude. You can't get. I mean, you could smoke it like we talked about with the whole rental car, but like if you're gonna smoke it as your car, dude, there's no getting that smell out of those seats.
No,
not unless you get new seats.
Exactly. Yeah.
Outside the hotel, are there restrictions? Have you ever rented restrictions outside a hotel?
Yep.
I have too. You can smoke here. You can smoke here, or usually it's like you can smoke way down there, but you can't smoke here.
Yeah.
Can't smoke in like the main lobby where everyone's walking in.
No, but some of that is dictated by local jurisdictions too. Mm-hmm. So it's not something you can't get mad at. Sometimes it is driven by the hotel. Most of them provide some areas to smoke, and some of them, but a lot of times they're not covered either.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, a lot of times they don't care about I remember I was in Washington, D.C., and what was the name of the hotel? I can't remember the name of the hotel. It's a very popular place for conferences in Washington, D.C. A big hotel up Marriott. It's a Marriott. Waldorf? Wardman Park. That's what it is. Okay. Wardman Park. I don't know if you ever stayed there, Will.
I have not, but I heard of it.
So they had in the main entrance, they got these like heat lamps, right? And it's this big, gigantic cover, and it's kind of sheltered from the wind. Perfect place to go outside and have a cigar. Nope, can't smoke there. You got to go out across the parking lot, way down there, and there's this other entrance with a tiny little awning, and it was pouring snow. And that's where you can have cigars. So we all had cigars out there by that little entrance and froze because the wind was whipping. That's when I remember smoking outside. in the hotel.
Yep. I typically won't do it, Paul, unless I want to relax for a while. It's not like I need to go out and puff a cigar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told my story when I stayed in Columbia, Maryland. And for whatever reason, I didn't search for a smoking room. But I was kind of nervous about going to the office because I was going to make a big career change. So I had a cigar before I went to the office. I was standing outside, and like this big group of guys, they were there for some kind of training, or they were going to take a test for some kind of training for some industry. And I remember just kind of getting weird looks, like, wow, he's smoking a cigar in the morning. Like, that was unheard of in this particular group. Like, dude, you have no idea in our industry, right? This is the norm in our industry, in our hobby, right?
Yep, very true.
Also, I separated these out, Will. Finding a place to smoke at night and finding a place to smoke during the day. I found traveling over the years, I'll go look up, through Google or whatever, and find the cigar lounges or cigar shops, and those are two totally different things. Most cigar shops close at a reasonable time, like 5 or 6 o'clock. So if you're there for a conference, or you're there for training, or you're there to go work, and you're working 9 to 5 and whatever, consulting or whatever, by the time you get to the cigar shop, that might be closed. So pay attention to the hours is my advice. Now, there have been a lot more lounges that have opened up in the U.S. I found over the years. Well, I think we have more choices. Despite regulations, I still think we have a lot of choices, especially in the Southeast. I remember there are tons in the Southeast, Atlanta. There's tons of cigar lounges that have opened up in strip malls, right, for whatever reason. And they usually have, like, craft beer, and they allow you to have cigars. And those are the lounges that you want to look for, which are very different from the cigar shop. So look at what time you want to go have a cigar and find the appropriate place. Of course, use social media for that. Contact us at the Stogie Geeks. I mean, we know many of the shops in the major cities as well.
Yeah, I would recommend that, absolutely. Contact us. I wouldn't be – a lot of the private clubs will sell evening or day passes. You will pay for that. But the advantage with the private clubs, they usually open later.
Right.
For example, Ewan Reese is a club in a store and a club in Chicago. And they used to take my old Outland Cigars when they were in business. They were a private club in Charlotte. They had a reciprocal agreement. So you went in, they knew I just showed them my Outland Cigar membership from Charlotte, and I got into their private lounge with no questions asked, and they were open till 11 o'clock at night as opposed to the store closing like around 7-ish, I want to say.
Now, finding a place to eat and have cigars is hard. Really, anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Except for Washington, D.C., Shelley's Back Room is awesome. Have you ever been there, Will?
No, I haven't.
We have to go to D.C. just to go there, dude. That place is awesome. That's a place you can eat, drink, and have cigars right in downtown D.C.
Yeah, I've heard it. We do need to do that. The other one in North Carolina, there's a place in the Raleigh area called the Angus Barn, which has again, they have separate rooms kind of, and that one, they have one specifically for cigar people who want to eat.
Right. Well, and this is great, too, because a lot of times when you're traveling, I get, like, stressed out with the schedule, right? Because I'm like, my friends want to go out to eat, right? And not all of them smoke cigars. And the ones that smoke cigars, they want to go eat because you want to eat first. You want to have to have dinner. And then you want to go to a cigar bar after that. And you have to find one that has reasonable hours. And even in Vegas, like during the week, Casa Fuente is only open until 10 o'clock. So if you're having a late dinner and it takes a long time, like your smoking time is cut. Now on a Friday and Saturday night, Casa Fuente is open until 12 or 1 o'clock, so it's better. But on a weeknight, you gotta plan it. But if you can go to a place that has both, it's beautiful. You can eat like on Andres? Yeah, Andres.
Andres
in the Monte Carlo, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you go eat, and then you walk right upstairs, and there's your cigar bar. It's beautiful. So you want to find places like that on certain nights, or maybe every night, that you can go eat and then have a cigar. Or maybe do in the same place, like Shelley's Back Room.
Mm-hmm. And there are places, again, it's going to come down to your local jurisdiction, what the rules are, because some of them, it's food and wine. There's percentages that depend on tobacco sales. So,
right.
I would recommend a couple of others. Is Cool River in Irving, Texas, is one. Aromas in Jacksonville, Florida is another one as well. food and cigars and drinks and both of those places. Yep.
Now, in Rhode Island, talk about if you're going to come here to Rhode Island. If you're going to Massachusetts, you're screwed. There's really no place to. There's not many places to smoke. Never mind to eat and drink and eat and smoke or drink and smoke. Mass is very tough with that. In Rhode Island, plenty of places to smoke. I believe Havana Club is one of the few places that in your same physical seat that you can order food. Now they have to order it out. They don't have a kitchen, but they can order you food out, and you can eat, drink, and smoke in Havana Club. That's the closest we come, as far as I know, unless you're going to a cigar event.
Yep, and I know Brenda. Brenda's been great over there. Hey, we need to order lunch and something.
Yeah.
So and that's great. And then you have a variety of options, though. Certainly, you could pick and choose with that.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much my advice for smoking cigars on the road. I wanted to kind of hit on all the topics on this segment, Will.
Yeah, no, I was originally thinking the hotel, but I kind of like going wider with this. And certainly, we love getting the emails from folks. By the way, so if you guys got questions, please, we do try to read them all and answer them all, and sometimes I'm a little slower than others, but definitely do. We love hearing about your hearing about your experience. If you got a question, the show at StogieGeeks.com is the best way to get hold of us.
Yeah, we should ask people to send in their favorite places to eat, drink, and smoke in their area, because that's the other thing too. If you can find a local person they know, like in Rhode Island, I know all the places to eat, drink, and smoke, right?
Maybe we'll post. If we get a bunch of those, we'll put a post up on Stogie Geeks, page or something.
Maybe we'll do a contest too.
Yeah,
we should give someone something for that. I
think we will give. Yeah, why don't we? We will put we haven't done a contest in a while. That's a contest.
That's a contest.
We'll figure out a prize. So
I tell you what, I got tons of these Saga short tails.
Made by Debonaire, the folks out of Reyes Factory who make Debonaire House. Paul, I don't know if we're going to get into that cigar, but that is a cigar. It's a very, very interesting cigar.
Absolutely. So we'll at least do a 5 of those. So we'll formalize this contest. So I'm going to see what people come up with, and if we get some great responses, we'll send some prizes out to people, and we'll talk about it in upcoming shows. I think that's great. Yep. Great for this segment too.
I think so too. So that is we have now an official contest and a prize.
That's it.
Yep.
Awesome. All righty. With that, we're going to take a short break. Come back with our Stogies of the Week.